I am in what is known as Simcha Barbara, or Santa Barbara, California, the day after the bris of our grandchild, named after my father, Yaakov Aryeh. His bris inspires me to speak about my father. My father, Yaakov Aryeh, was born in 1923. He joined the Beitar movement in 1937. He wanted desperately to leave Poland, knowing full well what Hitler had in mind for the Jewish world of Europe. He was talked out of running away from Poland by his grandfather, Reb Yudel Adar of Tomaszów-Lubelsk. At age 15, he ran to the yeshiva of Reb Elchanan Wasserman in Baranovich, and after half a year was returned by his father because his father needed him in the store. All the while, my father knew what was going to happen to European Jewry and hoped for the opportunity to be able to go to the Holy Land as a Beitarnik, as a member of the revisionist group who would change the face of Israel. In 1939, 2 weeks before the war, Menachem Begin, the prime minister, sent him a card. He was going to take him out. And then tragedy struck. All of Poland was under the vice clamp of the Nazis. My father ran to the Soviet side and spent 6 years in the northern tundras of Archangel, then in the hot and dry and arid climate of Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan. He was near the Chinese border. He was in Middle Asia, and he was in Ashgabat, next to Iran. 6 years he toiled in the work camps of the Soviets. His father, my grandfather, blamed him for their suffering. It was all his fault because he was a Beitarnik and believed such terrible things about the Nazis and Germans when they had gotten letters that things were getting better and people were engaged in business and were happy. Only in 1945, when they returned, did they see the tragedy, what had befallen their beloved city and the rest of their families. 90%, more than 90% of Polish Jewry were dead. Those who survived were primarily those who ran away to the Russian side. My father, uncle, grandparents were among them. My father was extremely strong, dynamic individual, very bright, multi-talented, blessed with tremendous handiwork, could do anything with his hands, had boundless energy, and was extremely efficient and organized. He was very successful in his business, but always was frustrated that he never had the opportunity to study, to become a professional. He had tremendous character. He loved people. People loved him. He was very generous with his money. But I want to leave you with what I think is the most profound element of the inheritance he gave me. And that was not just what he was, what he expressed, but what he did not express. For you see, my father was very, very into politics, very into what was going to happen to the Jews. knew full well the hatred of the Germans and the Poles whom he lived amongst. And yet, in educating his own children, my father never ever told us to hate anyone. My father extended his hand to whomever needed it, whether he was Jew or non-Jew, and treated everyone with respect. And that legacy of a person that was very, very strong, very bright, very talented, and who had to suffer for the rest of his life because of the viciousness of other people, never looked back and never ever told us that we must hate and be resentful of what other people did to us. Rather, it gave us the encouragement to look forward for a better day, a brighter future, and for loftier goals. It was this characteristic that my father had that made him outstanding. For you see, a person who has no character, who has no strength, it's not impressive that they don't teach to be hateful because they can't do anything about it anyway. But when a person has got power, when a person's got class, when a person's got success, for that person to be caring, for that person to deal fairly with people, and to teach his family not to have prejudice, that is the greatness of character of a person. When you're capable, when you have the power, and yet you treat people as you wish to be treated yourself, that's a legacy that we all can be proud of. And I am proud